So plastics are one of the growing threats, and one of the ones we're really worried about because it comes from human impact. But one of the nice things about plastics is that because humans are the problem and the source of this pollution, we can also be the solutions. There's a big drive worldwide to limit the amount of plastics going into our wetlands, through the rivers and into the sea. So my species are marine species, but this comes from the waste comes from land-based sources, flows down rivers into the sea, and that's where these birds pick up the plastic. From my own experience doing field work and working in penguin colonies, it's quite sad and disheartening sometimes where you walk through the colony and you're stepping over plastic bottles and single-use plastic things like straws and plastic shopping bags that really don't have a place in society anymore. They have viable and eco-friendly alternatives that we can use. But the culture is changing, and we're very optimistic that with raised awareness and campaigns like World Migratory Bird Day, that we can really change people's attitudes and the culture of plastic use.
Can you tell us something about, what are the effects? What are we seeing in the natural environment when it comes to plastics?
So plastics are really an issue for seabirds because they can mistake it for food. That's one influence. So the way that happens is that birds ingest the plastic thinking it's food, and it can either get stuck in the throat or can go into the stomach and take the place of what should be food in the stomach. So birds then can't get enough food in, their body condition declines, and sometimes they die as a result of having too much plastic in their gut. It can also injure the digestive system, which means that birds die from internal injuries, which is also rather devastating. The other way that plastic can affect birds, and especially seabirds, is through rubbish and debris floating in the ocean that birds get entangled with. There's something called ghost fishing, which is where old fishing gear, especially of plastic origin, persists in the marine environment for many, many years, sometimes tens of years or even 100 years. These old fishing lines and nets are left floating, and not only seabirds but also things like turtles and dolphins get tangled up in this mess, and they get stuck, and unfortunately they die. And what's good to know is this is all preventable, and with better awareness we can stop this problem.
Mm. Something I read in the Iowa report was that they're building nests. Some species are building nests of plastic.
Yeah, another way that birds are affected by plastic, and I've seen this in local birds such as Cape cormorants, which is an endangered species, is they use plastic in their nests. They use it as a material in their nest building, so it's not only natural materials anymore. These birds have plastic lining their nest essentially, and what happens is that puts the chicks in even closer contact with plastics, that they're stuck in the nest but they're still getting exposed to these human origin plastics, and ingesting them because they're colorful, they look like food, they're shiny, and it's having all of these negative effects on us. My name's Andrew Blocq. I work for a conservation NGO called BirdLife South Africa. My job mainly pertains to the African penguin. I run research and conservation projects relating to the African penguin, which is the only penguin species in all of Africa and in the AOA list.